Jim Phillips. Dr. Jim Phillips, faculty at the American Meridian University, and your host today. We have a big day today. It's only 2 hours, but it's jam-packed full of things that we're going to be talking about. So I'm glad that you're here, and I think you'll get a good flavor of what's going to be happening in the future. Now, I'd like to just, at this moment, introduce a few people. There's a number of people in the room, but I'd like to take the time and introduce them. For example, we have Dr. Gee, he is the founder of the American Meridian University. We have Dr. Taylor, who is the director of the Global Health Access Institute. So thank you very much.
Yeah.
Dr. Rudnitsky, she's fantastic, I'll tell you. She's got something going on, and you're going to hear about it. It's the Nightingale Strategies Initiative. That is like seriously good time stuff. And that's great telework, telemedicine stuff. We also have Dr. Kim Brown-Jackson. We have Dr. Bonnie. And let's see, and we also have, I'd like to just introduce a friend and someone who works with the Global Health Access Institute. It's Miss Arroyave. Arroyave?
Yes.
I screwed it up. My apologies. It sounded so good when I said it the first time. So I'd like to introduce certainly her. Thank you very much for being here. So without further ado, I'd like to have Mr. Bonnie come up, or Dr. Bonnie, and we have an introduction of what is going to happen today here at Accenture Federal. Dr. Bonnie.
All right. If we start calling everybody doctor, we're never going to get through all this, because I think 90% of the folks in the room are either doctors or well on their way to it. So anyway, doctor. Jim, thank you.
You're welcome, Scott.
You can call me Scott. So I am the director of the Lean Six Sigma practice at Accenture Federal Services. Accenture Federal Services is the part of Accenture Global, which we only have one customer, and that's the federal government. And so that's my main focus, is to try to help the federal government become more efficient, more effective. I'm the Lean Six Sigma process improvement guy. But Accenture writ large is a global, just shy of 500,000 employees. Probably by the time anybody actually watches this video, we will have passed 500,000 employees globally, 120 countries, pretty big organization. Accenture Federal Services, where I focus, is closer to 10,000 folks. And the vast majority of us are here in the National Capital Region. So we have a number of buildings around the area, and very glad to have the opportunity to host this Saturday seminar series. This is our second Saturday seminar series. Don't ask me to say that again, because I can't alliterate but so much. And that we've hosted here. Thank you, American Meridian University, for so many things that you have done, coordinating and bringing everybody together, and also being willing to sign off on letting me become Dr. Bonnie. Appreciate that. So anyway, I feel morally obligated to say a couple quick things about Accenture, like awesome, we're great. I actually ran my own company in a past life, Bond Tech School of Business and Journey Tech Corporation Consulting. And the reason I started my own company was because I wanted to try to make a difference. I had been a GS-15 in a past life, worked for the government, and I was just so disgusted with so many of the consulting companies out there. They were just out there making as much money as they can and trying to embed themselves into the government. And as an efficiency guy, it was killing me. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to quit. I'm going to start my own company, because somebody needs to give the government a better choice than the folks that are out there. And I did that for 5 years. By the way, if you haven't run your own business, it sucks. It's a pain in the butt. And I got a call from the Accenture folks, and they said, hey, Scott, it looks like you've been doing this Lean Six Sigma thing a long time, and a lot of time in the federal space. Would you like to come and help us to reinvigorate our Lean Six Sigma practice, drag it kicking and screaming into the 21st century? I'm like, well, I've got my own company. I don't really want to walk away from my baby, but sure, I'll talk. And I walked into one of the buildings downtown and talked to a couple of the executives, and they showed me around the stuff that they do and the projects that they're working on and the facilities they have and methods that they use. And I was like, dang. And I guess I should add, more importantly, the culture that they have. If I were going to build my company and be wildly successful 20 years from now, this is what I would hope I could have built. Mm-hmm. Well, dang, I didn't want to be an entrepreneur anyway. I just did it because it needed to happen. And Accenture already built the company for me. So I walked away from my own company and came here because I really believe this is one of the few companies in the world, certainly in the federal space, that's trying to do the right things for the right reasons. So I'm very proud. No buyer's remorse here. Been here for all of 6 or 7 months. Really, really happy working with Accenture. It's a great company. Service disabled veteran, so always nice that there are folks out there working with us. And we actually are the most diverse company in the world. Not us saying this. This was, I don't remember who said it, but just a few months ago, 2019, most diverse company in the world, period. Like, dang, that's pretty cool. So I'm the minority as a middle-aged white guy. Anyway, I digress. I don't want to spend too much time. Let me pass the buck back to Dr. Phillips, and thank you all for coming.
Thanks, Scott. Okay, everyone. Now is where the rubber meets the road. Let me share some information here, and I think it'll be beneficial for you to know this part of it. This part of the history and kind of presents a visual into what's going to happen today. Well, what's going to happen today is stuff that you're going to be interested in, and it's going to be energizing, and you're going to want to do it later on. You're going to want to connect, and you're going to want to participate. So I'd like to talk about something here. Last conference, you may recall that Dr. Taylor spoke about the World Health Organization 2020 Nurse and Midwife Leadership and Development Campaign. Remember that from the World Health Organization? Well, since then, the American Meridian University has joined forces with the Global Health Access Institute to kind of energize that and put it into practice. Kind of like putting a transmission to an engine. Got an engine, now we need a transmission, we could go.
There you go.
So with that, I'd like to introduce our next speaker. It'll be Dr. Clisha Taylor. Now, Dr. Taylor's a nurse. You probably know that from last time we spoke, but she has over 30 years of experience and is the CEO of American Healthcare Professionals, a home health care company established in 1995. Now, I particularly like home health care, having had my parents and have had my wife experience home health care, so I understand really kind of the intricacies of that and the value, the professionals that are in that role. So really important to me. So it kind of hits home. And I think everyone will probably find it as well. She's also the director of the Global Health Access Institute and Emerging Technologies Virtual Training Program. This is where the American Meridian University fits in. Kind of nice dovetail, if you would think. She is the director and strategically leading the Nursing Now campaign. Okay, I'm going to say that again, Nursing Now campaign. Now keep that in mind because you're going to hear it again and you're going to hear it multiple times because that's what we're about and that's where we're going. And also she's leading the Next Level Nursing Initiative. This is a big time. You know, can't stress this enough, and I don't want to take away the bloom off the rose that she has, but this is big. So today, Dr. Taylor will discuss briefly the Next Level Nursing Initiative and introduce another friend of ours, Dr. Julia Rudnitsky. Now, she's someone to watch also. Now, she is also the president of the Nightingale Strategies. Think of that name. It's a powerful name just in and of itself. It's like its teeth. Nightingale. If any nurse who is a nurse would go, oh yeah, I know her. So she's the president of that. Also, she had developed an app. Now you say, well, developed a company, that's cool. You mean she's also a developer? Yeah. She's a smart cookie. So we're kind of tickled that she's going to talk to us today about that. She will share her journey in the Next Level Nursing program and as a system developer and as a nurse. So we're going to see this as well and hear about it. So we're excited about it. So don't get nervous. She's like this. Oh man, now I'm nervous. You didn't have to do that, Jim. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Dr. Taylor.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Phillips, Dr. Barney, Dr. Dewey. Actually says a lot of doctors. Can you get me to my PowerPoint, please? Yeah. I touched the computer and it exploded, so I'm going to be careful.
Is this the correct one?
It's going to be
This one.
yes.
This is kind of distracting. Let me minimize that and maximize.
Perfect. So thank you all for being here. This is exciting. Just to clarify, we are here for the 2020 Year of the Nurse and Midwife, which is a nursing campaign, and I'm going to do an overview and specifically talking about the Nightingale Challenge and what this all means for everyone. So now, as you can see, we're kind of early to the game. It's November, but we believe so much in this that we started actually in May once it was approved with the World Health Organization. So with that, I'm just going to share from last time when I talked, and we were introducing this, and immediately AMU, Accenture, all of you got on board and said, count us in. So understand that nurses are the bridge of healthcare. And what I want to explain now is take time because we are talking about a Nursing Now initiative. I am a GHA Institute is a Nursing Now local representative. So as a local representative, my mission and my call is to go out and make more believers of the Nursing Now movement. And most important thing is to understand their objectives and what they're trying to do here so that we can all be part of it and on the same page. So the Nursing Now initiative, nurses should be empowered to use their knowledge, skills, and expertise. Nurses should be supported to drive health promotion, disease prevention, and treatment. Health decision-making needs nurses to be more involved. Health leaders should develop new models of care that maximizes nurses' contribution to achieving universal health care coverage. That's what we're talking about today, is innovation. And government should invest in improving nurses' working conditions, training, and leadership skills. So we're going to have a series of these with the next level nursing, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. So let's talk about the Nursing Now campaign. So it has launched the Nightingale Challenge 2020. So what does that mean? The Nightingale Challenge 2020 calls for every employer of nurses globally to provide leadership, development, training for nurses and midwives. So what is the next level nursing? We accepted that challenge, and that next level nursing 2020, it emphasized being nursing-centric and patient-centric, reaching out to the human part of why nurses become nurses, and adding value to the program, which emphasizes leadership and development of nurses. So what is innovation in nursing and healthcare? What does that mean? Because today we're going to be talking about next level nursing innovators, the innovators, right? So innovation in nursing and healthcare. To innovate is to put ideas into practice or existing ideas into practice in new ways. Every nurse is an agent of change and an innovator. Every day, nurses work together to solve difficult challenges in workplaces and for their patients. So, more information, here are my emails and my colleagues' email and phone numbers and our website to get a hold of, and partners as it's growing the list of who's involved. But right now, I would like to introduce, we'll go back to the beginning, AMU. Today, American Marion University is now going to be officially a supporter of Nursing Now. And I'd like to invite Dr. Gee, who's the founder, up to be able to present the I Support Nursing Now. So I'm going to just hand this off to Dr. Gee so that we can see that you are a supporter of the Nursing Now initiative. And that is officially yours.
Thank you very much.
Carry the seal of it and knowing what it means. Do you want some of your team members to come up, or should we do that later to be a part of it?
Later would be all right.
Okay.
I'd just like to say on behalf of all of us, Dr. Taylor, you live in these, everyone who's here around this table lives, of a legacy that all of you are either giving now or have given, either in your nursing or through the programs that you're initiating. Dr. Taylor, you've been a wonderful facilitator, and I'd like to have a round of applause for Dr. Taylor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lee. But certainly, I'm very honored and pleased to join here with you in conversation as we continue to forge ahead with multiple challenges that our healthcare facing with management, leadership, and communication. Nightingale Strategies LLC was born out of glaring void in effective patient-provider communication and the underlying need to provide quality, evidence-based care and improve patient outcomes. Okay, here are listed Nightingale strategy, LLC, mission, and vision. Nightingale strategies echoes the primary focus of nursing now Nightingale Challenge 2020. It is exciting because next year will give nurses to be a bigger part of healthcare community around the world, locally, and it will reshape health and healthcare policies. My inspiration for my DNP capstone research at GNU University was my belief that healthcare community should engage their patients to be active stakeholders in their healthcare plans by increasing their knowledge and their healthcare literacy through interactive evidence-based strategies. By doing so, we will improve patient outcomes and improve quality of life. My company strives to restructure and reshape, reinvent patient-provider rapport through transparent and open two-way communication. This is the screenshot of my application. It's right here. Later on, if I have time, I'll just show how it works. So the second picture here is me doing my development of this application, teaching the undergrad students, and they were very receptive to that. So the application was and is still designed to be utilized through patient encounter. So me and I'm from the start when patient arrives to the office or hospital or whatever facility it is, and until the discharge. We do want to have patient have especially structured discharge planning, so everybody's gonna be on the same page and the patient leaves hospital facility knowing what is next. So as you see, the purpose of the application is to aid and support healthcare providers to improve patient health literacy, engage patients. It is open to way communication. So health H-Ask, and I named it H-Ask because H stands for health and Ask stands for, and I always ask. I utilize 3 health literacy improvement techniques, and each technique you always ask basically and I'll talk about it a little bit later. Okay, so the application is designed to be utilized through the patient encounter to aid the healthcare provider with the appropriate health literacy improvement communication technique or combination of techniques when treating patients with diabetes and hypertension. So I'd like to stop here and say I listed diabetes and hypertension only because this was designed specifically for George Mason University Free Clinic. Eventually, this application could be scaled up and adapted to different chronic disease management. So HRS is designed to help primary care providers to ensure that the patient understanding of the prescribed medications, lifestyle modifications, and follow-up instructions. It is also can suggest evidence-based criteria for chronic care panel monitoring and management. Okay, so this is a picture of my son Michael. He's 16 years old here. So the beginning of overarching idea for this application in Capstone sprouted from my personal experience with my son Michael, and I'll basically tell you the story. So he was, even now my voice is trembling because it's always hard to remember that. So in 2012 to 16, he was complaining of a abdominal pain, and pain was bad enough, so I took him to emergency room. They ruled out appendicitis, took all the blood work, CT scan, ultrasound, whatnot, said no appendicitis, let's leave him overnight, see how he does tomorrow. Yeah, that's really hard. Thanks so much. And the next day we were discharged home saying, okay, follow up if pain persists and I'll go to PCP for follow up as usual discharge home. That was it. Everything was normal. And then 3 years later, he was 19, he transferred to a adult clinic, our PCP, and on a physical exam, lab was drawn as usual, you know, the number of blood work that has to be done. And we got a call saying that Michael has elevated liver exams, which was surprising because he is an athlete, usual, kid, okay? So we started searching for an answer, what caused the elevated liver enzymes. Obviously, every viral hepatitis was ruled out. We ended up going from our local hepatologist to Johns Hopkins, Mayo Clinic, Cornell University, and Soroka in Israel. So finally, the consensus was that Michael had an autoimmune rare form hepatitis, which was missed in 2012. Well, not the diagnosis, but the delay of that treatment was, the treatment was delayed for 3 years. And by the time of that diagnosis, Michael had liver fibrosis stage 4, which was pretty close to developing liver cirrhosis. And he was 19. So lack of that communication, that discharge instruction, caused my Michael to become very ill. He's thankfully okay now. He's 24. He's under care of hepatologist. He's on our immunosuppressive therapy, and he's recovering. His liver is almost recovered. So we are hoping he'll go into a remission. The point is, this mistake could have been avoided, and we as nurses should push toward that structured communication, that open two-way communication, making sure patients are engaged in their care and understand what's going on with their disease. So here's Michael's story. So this slide allows me to demonstrate my application, and it will be briefly. This is the application. I don't know if you can see it really well. I already preloaded the vital signs, and they are out of range. They're out of range to engage the decision aid tools, and I'll just show it up. So when you press start, it will engage the hypertension decision aid tool. So it asks questions, yes, no. It pulls up some websites, and I cannot pull them up because my iPad is not connected to the internet here. And so the little form, the double blood activates decision aid tool for diabetes. And we have some supporting documents here. If you open this little supportive button. So this is the first version of this application. The second version is under development right now. I have a different page that I was not able to load here, where we can put a patient name or identifier, as well as identifier of a healthcare provider. We can select if the patient is pregnant or not. And then at the end of the appointment, you can send, there's an email button, you can email the conclusion to the patient, also save it into a EMR for the provider, so the continuity will not be lost. Okay, so we need to revert every revolutionize and empower patient-provider engagement and communication. Nursing Nightingale's Challenge 2020 gives opportunities to nurses to bring forward ideas that will reshape healthcare delivery system and improve healthcare of our nation. And I strongly believe we need a healthier nation than we do right now. But what is great now, we are not alone. We have help of World Health Organization. This is a worldwide help, and we have a local help in place of GHH Institute, Accenture Federal Services, American Meridian University. And that is very great and exciting. And to all nurses who are listening, please, you now know whom to reach for help. And I'm pretty sure that there's a lot of ideas out there. Well, thank you for the opportunity to hosting me here and letting me share with you my innovation, and specifically thank you, Dr. Taylor and Dr. Phillips and Dr. Judy for asking me to present this application in front of you. I fully support and accept Nursing Now Nightingale Challenge 2020. Here we go. And at this time, if anybody have questions, I'm ready to answer.
Can you hold on so I can get a picture of that? Because, yes. Wonderful.
If there's any questions? Okay, no questions.
I just want to say that I'm in home health care, and Dr. Phillips shared his heart for home health care with his family members. And we have now changed our model, and it's called patient-driven grouping models. And your solution fits so perfectly in the home health world, as it's changing officially in January 2020, because it's being driven by a patient-driven grouping model, and that helps us nurses in home care know how to get on the same page to be able to make sure and ensure that we're giving information to patients that is consistent with helping them reach the maximum goals for their healthcare needs. So I just commend you on this timely solution. This is the example of a nurse innovator. So thank you for
Thank you very much.
charge.
Thank you for having me a guest speaker in this meeting first. I want to say that all our organizations are under strong pressure to improve their performance. That's why we are here today. My name is Marguerite Yusuf. I have a BS in nursing. I have a Master 2 degree in psychosomatic support. I am a hospital respiratory therapist, BLS instructor, ACLS and device aligned with the American Heart Association. I worked as a registered nurse in the intensive care unit from 2012 to 2018. I became the ICU manager. I am a professor at the University of Antonin and the preceptor at Balamand University. I shift to performance improvement department. I work right now as an audit, and I work to re-engineer all policies, procedures, and processes of the hospital. I am continuing my application of quality and lean management for healthcare with a joint Lebanon-United States collaborative Doctor of Business Administration and Healthcare program. We all know that society is aging and demand for healthcare services are increasing. In this millennium, healthcare systems are challenged to be affordable, accessible, and safe. Our vision is to close the quality gap between what we know to be good healthcare and the healthcare that people actually receive. We adopted the Lean Healthcare Management System as the performance improvement approach, which is a set of tools to improve our processes. We decided to choose the pre-admission process as a project, the pre-admission process for surgical patients to work on. As problem statement, we can say that the average cycle time of the pre-admission process for surgical patients exceeded 4 hours per patient. 40 to 45% of the 4 hours was spent in customer waiting time rather than the performance of actual services. The project quantitative metrics were the process cycle time, the nursing overhead costs, the lack of standard work, lots of variations, and the patient safety issue due to unplanned variations. This was the percentage of toll polls that are the steps that take the most of the time were 60%. There was lots of rework and lots of waiting time, and of course a cost of poor quality. This was our initial process map. There was lots of waiting time, lots of transfer, unnecessary steps, and non-value added steps. We tried, with the help of lean management values, we tried to reduce this process map into this value stream map. And we found that the total cycle time was 4 hours and the value added time was only 77 minutes. So in this pre-admission process, we tried to remove all the unnecessary steps to reduce the patient waiting time. Now, what I learned from leadership and management, I can tell that during the transition from a frontline to senior leadership, my job was to turn high-level objectives into action at the department. Leaders must play a key role in patient safety. Leaders must spread effective communication to build awareness according to patient safety. Leaders or concerning patient safety. Leaders must spend time with the staff talking about safety issues. They do walkarounds in patient care departments to create a culture of safety. They encourage staff to report errors, to strengthen incident reporting mechanisms. Leaders are accountable for implementing quality of care by education and training. Leaders and patient-centered care. We try to eliminate preventable harm, of course. We train staff to involve patients and their families in any decision-making concerning their health. We try to enhance frontliners to deliver the best care based on the best practice. Patients and families are considered partners. Knowledge is freely shared among care team and patients. Daily care plan is documented and shared with patients and families. We focus on the best interests and personal goals of the patient, and the patient himself is the source of the control. In management, we try to redesign care processes to create safer systems by increasing standardization, reducing redundancies, and taking advantage of human factors. We try to enhance teamwork and team spirit. We trust our staff. We spread a culture based on a fundamental understanding. Quality should be implemented and sustained over the time. Care is customized and reflects patients' needs, values, and choices. I want to tell you what I've learned in leadership, 7 lessons. Lesson 1, have a vision and keep it simple. We try to go for a goal with no waste, no weight, and 0 harm. Lesson 2, learn by measuring. We all know that we cannot manage our process if we cannot measure it. So we have to study the process, identify the order of steps and areas of possible delays. Lesson 3, Use the best approach for your team. Keep it simple. Try to remove all the unnecessary steps. Test via a process like and sustain the improvement by the plan, do, check, act cycle. Lesson 4, care for the people who care for others. The person-centered care starts with caring for the people who provide care for others. We need to treat our staff in the same way as we want them to treat their patients, to enable them to be person-centered in their own work. Lesson 5, respect and empower your team members. One needs to respect the current way things are done and build on the dedication of the healthcare providers and the hope people have in their work. Lesson 6, remember to learn as much as you teach. Don't fall into the trap of coming into a new setting and telling people what to do. Lesson 7, which is the most important, managers and clinicians must discuss concerns and challenges with their supervisory leadership. Conversations at work elicit and explore what is important to each of us and the pain points. Make the work environment psychologically safe. Psychological safety is present when people feel that they can talk about difficult issues and trust that what they say will be heard and explored rather than ignored, discounted, or criticized. Repeated psychologically safe conversations help people develop intrinsic motivation. Now, hospitals must develop the leadership skills for nurses and midwives. I'm sorry. And make them better members to face constraints. Healthcare needs more leadership representation from women and nurses. Nurses are the front lines of the healthcare. We love to see we as nurses, we love to see our profession recognized. We are waiting next year, the 2020, waiting for this historical moment when the whole world will say that nurses are present and nurses are valued. So change and improvement are difficult without inclusive leadership. Well, during my studies with the American Meridian University in lean management for healthcare providers, I learned a lot. I tried to resume as much as I can what I learned from this course. I learned that every business, do you still hear me?
Yes.
Yes, you're doing
Yes.
great.
I learned from AMU Lean Management course that every business encounters from delays, defects, and deviation. I learned to use the vocabulary that managers and leaders use to make improvements which are important to me as a nurse by aligning my project goals with the goals of hospital leadership. I learned how to see the value from the client perspective and how to make my process easier and better, how to simplify and streamline your service, how to create a competitive advantage by becoming faster, better, and cheaper, how to cut the time it takes to meet the customer demand. I learned also how to measure my process. As I said before, if I cannot measure my process, I cannot manage it. I learned how to increase my productivity and growth, how to use the right tool to help us detect patterns that cannot be detected with the naked eye. Every business, oh, I'm sorry, this is repeated. So every business needs lean management. Healthcare services need to embrace quality that survive services have to realize that they will need to embrace quality. We have to focus on the most important, the highest leverage things to improve. You don't have to improve everything at one time. Just a few things of what you will create can make over 50% of your results. Eliminate delays, reduce defects. You have to count mistakes, misses, near misses, failure, errors. You have to plot them on a chart, categorize them, analyze the root causes, reduce deviations. We need them all in nursing. That's why nursing managers, nursing leaders need lean management. The most important, even the most difficult part of any change is to sustain the improvement you have done. You have to monitor the behavior of the process, and every process has the 4 main steps for sustainability, the plan, do, check, act cycle. Thank you for listening.
Questions? We might. I wanted to thank Ms. Youssef for broadcasting to us from Lebanon during this time of a challenge there. When nurses work hard, all of you know that. When she was taking this course, and incidentally, Dr. Kim Brown Jackson was broadcasting by video from the United States into Lebanon. When Ms. Youssef was taking this course, she would be teaching in the morning, working in the morning, driving 3 hours to Beirut to take the class. In class from 5 to 8 at night, getting back in the car, driving 3 hours home, and then starting this and working Saturdays, and produced this project, which again reduced cycle time for cardiac patients by 45%. We're really blessed, very lucky to have her as a student. And any other questions for Ms. Youssef?
Yes, sir.
I just want to thank you for this great presentation. I want to also to ask you, since you talked a lot about leadership, if you find any challenges in the leadership in the setting where you did the project and how you managed to handle them. Thank you.
Of course, there are lots of difficulties, and we tried to achieve or to make this project in a few days. The most important difficulty is the resistance of the staff to change. So resistance to change is very hard, and I think all around the world, leaders face resistance to change, no?
Mm-hmm.
So the most important thing to manage resistance is to involve staff and frontliners in this change, and not only to implement this change. So you have to involve them and to explain why, and to train them, to educate them, to spread this culture of change.
She said, thank you. I have a question as well. I guess more of a comment. You are an example of a next level nurse, innovator, and you really showcase how AMU helped through their training in lean management to bring your thinking in the process of being able to bring forth these effectual changes. And I just think it's a great example for us nurses. Dr. Intima, who was one who asked you questions, she's actually from Palestine, so she's a neighbor. And then Dr. Yulia is also from Israel. So we have a little bit of the Middle East in the room. So this is exciting. And thank you so much for sharing your insight.
Thank you, doctor. Thank you for listening.
My name is Jacqueline Walter. I am a nurse practitioner, a healthcare mentor, and founder of loginclinics.com, which is an online telemedicine and teletherapy practice. I hold a master's degree at Brown University, and I also have certification from the GHA Institute as a telemedicine and telehealth provider. So I think the big thing that we're talking about here in general is just that things have really changed when it comes to healthcare. I've been a nurse for 20 years and I've seen a ton of change. The one thing where things have changed is just insurance in our country, of course, that there are many uninsured and underinsured people who, and even insured people actually who encounter a lot of frustrations with the system. Oftentimes insured people are charged more than uninsured people. We also have in the United States just a lack of access to and a lack of primary care providers, as well as an overabundance of specialists. It seems like physicians who go to medical school really don't want to do primary care anymore, probably for a variety of reasons. It's not very lucrative and probably not as exciting as some of the surgical technologies that are out there. On average, it takes about 10 to 14 days for someone to get into a primary care. So if you had some sort of urgent thing that needed to be addressed, you would have to wait at least a week, maybe two, to be seen. And so that is unfortunate. It ends up with a lot of people going into the emergency room, hence the advent of telemedicine, primarily by insurance companies, of course, to help control the cost and utilization. Primary care providers aren't really incentivized to help patients in that regard. You know, you could maybe call and talk to a nurse or something, but they're really just overburdened and overtaxed with a lot of the just trying to stay afloat and make money. So it's really an unfortunate conundrum and situation that they are in with our current situation here in America. Technology has changed a lot, of course. When I first started as a nurse, I was paper and pen charting, and all the papers were in little stacks. I worked in the trauma center, and you had to, pick them out. We had packets made ahead of time. Now we've totally gone in a completely different direction. You can access people's prescriptions. It just kind of populates into the electronic health record. Even sharing with other institutions via Epic is possible as well. So, with all the advent of communication and technology, it seems like we're really not harnessing full force everything that's at our fingertips because of a lot of constraints and red tape. So it's all of these things experience. I decided to develop my own telemedicine practice. And so the vision of Login Clinics is to deliver high quality, easily accessible, cost-effective, direct telemedicine and teletherapy services to North Carolinians. So in my practice currently, so I work in urgent care. I've worked here for 3 years. I just see a lot of challenges just with the general system, challenges with uninsured persons and challenges with insured persons, challenges with underinsured persons. It's just very difficult. I have patients that come in that have been sick for a day or two that just you work at Walmart or something, some hourly job. And in order for them to go back to work, they need to pay $120 to get a doctor's note from our urgent care. And they do that because they want to keep their job. I have patients who are just overwhelmed by the whole healthcare system. They feel like they're just run through an assembly line. They're thrown out of their doctor's office. They really don't have anyone to quarterback their care, and they might have a lot of medical complexities going on. They might have a cardiologist, a neurologist, an orthopedist, and it is too overwhelming for them, and they just don't have the medical training to be able to navigate that system. also have patients who come in who just need a prescription refill, who have been on a medicine for a year or two, had something happen in their life, tried to get back in with primary care, and because they were a day over the year mark of their physical exam, they are now considered a new patient and need to be scheduled 4 to 6 weeks down the road only when the primary care provider has a new patient day. So all of these things together were the impetus behind me developing login clinics. So I just wanted to show you some of the services that we offer. Of course, this is not static. I have subscription plans, and I also have just pay-per-use visits. The subscription plan, just the baseline one for people who are relatively healthy that might have a rash or a upper respiratory infection, tonsillitis, they could cover themselves and their family immediately that lives in the home for $25. They just a $10 copay at the time of each use. Concierge services that I have are meant to augment primary care, to work alongside the primary care providers and sort of fill in that gap where the patients just can't get in, as well as the ones that I talked about earlier with healthcare mentoring and really involving their families if needed, just to make sure that everybody is educated and on the same page, kind of what the two prior speakers had talked about as well. Doctor's notes, like I mentioned, if they were sick and now they're fine and they need to go back to work. And then I also have an arm of counseling, teletherapy. A good friend of mine is a licensed marriage and family therapist, and she does that online, and she finds that a lot of people are just more comfortable in their own environments, in their bedroom, just able to open up actually often more than they did in the office with her. For the concierge patients, I have MedTunnel, which is a HIPAA-compliant text messaging application, and it's something, let's say you have the concierge membership, I know all your history, I know your primary care records, and you just needed some quick question, you could text. And it also has a function of sending pictures and documents and maintaining confidentiality with that. So that's a really neat program. And lastly, I just wanted to close with a quick video that you can see. It's a minute long, and it just highlights what my patients would experience. Wake Forest-based online medical clinic, Login Clinics, offers video-assisted urgent care, medical care, and counseling visits from the comfort of your own home or work and on your own time schedule with evening and weekend appointment options. Making an appointment with your medical provider is only a couple of clicks away. First, go to www.loginclinics.com and click on the Schedule Now button. A couple minutes after you schedule your appointment online, you'll receive an email notification recapping the details. Login Clinics uses the Zoom video application to video conference. You would follow the prompts on your screen to do this at the time of your appointment. If you're a new patient, there will be some forms that you'll need to complete before your appointment. You'll receive a separate email with a link to the patient portal where the forms are accessed, signed, and stored. Now that your forms are signed, you can click the Join Appointment link in your email inbox. Hi, welcome to Login Clinics. How can I help you? And that's it. If you have any questions about scheduling your appointment, please feel free to contact us via email, phone, or text at 919-679-1880 or admin@loginclinics.com. All right, and that's it. Does anyone have any questions?
Comment. Jacqueline, you're truly an example of a next level nurse, and you're what they classify as far as a disruptive innovator. I would definitely call you a disruptive innovator. And with the Florence Nightingale Challenge, as I was listening to you present, I think if Florence Nightingale was alive today, she would look at you and say, "This is what I'm talking about," because you're truly. She was an innovator. We know that. You're exactly what Nursing Now is talking about. So I just really give you a shout out. When I heard about our organization and I heard about it, as she said, through GHA Institute, I was excited. And she hadn't even launched it yet, but just the idea of where you're going now that it's launched, wow, is all I have to say. So I too want to make an appointment.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
I think also, Jacqueline, what is nice about your presentation, what you do, and what Dr. Taylor just said is the value of what we would call professional diversity in regards to what you're doing. So telehealth and telemedicine is not just one thing. It's many things, and everybody has something to contribute to that variety of cornucopia of opportunity. So it's so I congratulate you on seeing an opportunity and diving into it. And really, that's the Nursing Now movement is in that that stream of consciousness that leads us to better care, patient-centric, nurse-centric care. So that's kudos to you and your work that you're doing.
Absolutely. And I just want to make one more comment as a person who trains in telemedicine, telehealth. You did everything right. You're like an example of how a program should be. It's very simple, very focused, it's measurable. All the pieces are affordable, it's accessible. All the pieces are there, and just a real good example of what we need to be striving towards.
And Dr. Burton, you had a question or comment?
I just want to add that this is definitely a great program. We are in an age, healthcare is very, very expensive. And as you mentioned, just getting a note to go back to work has become outrageous. You mentioned the $100 and some where I live, they want $50 per form. And if you have, 3 or 4 different insurances, that just puts it out of the ballpark for most people. And we have people who live in the rural and remote areas, and it is organizations like yours is going to be able to make healthcare more effective and affordable for those types of people. So I just want to say thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you for the great comments. Yeah, I mean that's our hope. I can say though that where I live north of Raleigh, I'm about 45 minutes north of Raleigh, North Carolina. If you go even further toward the border of Virginia, there are some issues with just lack of access to the internet, unfortunately, in pockets.
And thank you. Something else we got to work on.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I just want to say a little bit about Alex as she's getting ready to come and present. She is a junior in nursing school, so this is our future, and our future looks bright. So I just want to start that off right off the way. So I think it's going to be exciting to hear her story, but this is our future. This is the ones that are going to take care of me, so I'm very happy.
Hi there, I'm Alex. Like Dr. Taylor said, I'm a junior nursing student right now at George Mason University, and I'm the next generation nurse. My goal is to improve healthcare and nursing education, and I believe they go hand in hand. So currently I'm a nursing student at Mason, but I do plan on getting my master's in either business or hospital administration. I haven't decided which yet. I'm currently involved in the nurses education, practice, quality, and retention for registered nurses in primary care program, which is from Mason, and that is for nursing leaders and innovators. And so I'm also, in addition to that, involved in a Virginia AHEC Scholars program, and that is working with rural, underserved special populations, so it's a little more community health based. And then in addition to that, Mason has MAP clinics, and they're called Mason and Partners clinics, and that is also community health based. And that's for uninsured, it's for undocumented immigrants, and we're providing affordable health care for them in areas that they can't receive it themselves. I'm just really excited to be a part of the Nursing Now initiative and improving healthcare for the future. Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions?
So Alex, what made you decide to go into nursing?
So I actually really contemplated between business and nursing. And the reason I chose nursing is because I want to approach business from a nursing perspective. And then I realized that
I'm not necessarily set on business as much as I am administration, because that's where you pull in policy and change. And so it's kind of just developed from that. And so I know that my further education is going to follow along more the route of administration or business, but I want it from a nursing perspective with that nursing background knowledge.
Awesome. What do you think about that, Dr. Gee?
Great idea. Alex, you spoke very well about wanting to go into administration because of policy. Here's a very broad question. If there is one policy regarding healthcare that you would like to change, and if you were suddenly, somebody said tomorrow, gosh, you've been so wonderful that we're making you the administrator, you're going to start today, what policy would you like to start with?
I think it would be standardizing the communication between patients and the hospitals. I feel like patients can go in for the same treatment, and depending on their insurance, they may pay two totally separate costs. And they have no idea what it's going to cost them until they're walking out the door. And so I think it really hurts a lot of patients, and it discourages them from seeking healthcare because of the unknown. Everyone's scared of the unknown. And so I think it would be publishing those costs and setting those expectations for their patients before they're getting their treatment, so they know what they're going in for. They know what they're getting themselves into.
That's a great idea. Thank you.
Thank you.
Other question I have for you, I'll get one, that you originally said you were interested in nursing leadership. Now you said this is a nurse innovator. Tell us why you're the innovator versus leadership. Share with them.
I definitely feel like I follow along the lines of both, but I think more innovation because I see something that could use improvement and I look at ways that it can be improved. And so instead of just picking out the flaws in things, I look for solutions. And I think that that's what the next generation needs.
Yeah, very nice.
Thanks for having me back up again. I can't pass up an opportunity to stand in front of a group, so thank you. I'll just share with you a little bit of thought on what the future is. Now, this is a start. You know, like everything has a starting point. And while there's been many pre-steps that have been made, today we're looking at what is the future going to be. Well, for AMU and GHA, it's going to be, well, we're going to be looking at some serious stuff for serious things. So the stuff is, we're looking at certifications. That's why certifications. This is one more certification. So, sure, we could do more certifications or less. Well, I just want to point out that, when you start innovating, as telehealth and telemedicine is, it's an innovation, it's a disruptive technology. It is getting in your face about something new, and it's going to have a lot of pushback by traditional healthcare people. And to some extent, coming from a traditional healthcare background, it's like, it's different. Different. Well, that's different doesn't necessarily mean bad. In fact, oftentimes different means great, because now it's an alternative approach to be able to take care of something that's extremely important to ourselves, our families, and to society as a whole. So the next level nursing and the certification program that we have is to look at how do we go ahead and get people prepared for the what's ahead. So the things that for people entering in it will go, well, I kind of know, but what is it about? So I sort of figured this thing out, but I don't know. Well, the idea behind the certification is to give you the horsepower necessary to be able to maneuver in that environment. So you're looking at an overview of next level nursing is, it's like, okay, let's get some indoctrination, let's get some understanding of what you're getting into. But it's not just that. It's also understanding why you got into nursing in the first place. This is to try to reconnect yourself with nursing as a profession, nursing as a vocation, nursing as your heart's desire to help others. And that becomes a real challenge if for many nurses who have been in traditional roles for so long, they lose that spark. And when they lose that spark, you tend to lose the excitement that falls with that. One of the great innovators in Walt Disney would speak about, the Imagineers. These are the people that sit back there and figure things out. So all the movies that you see and all the artistic stuff that they do, they have a whole team of Imagineers, like engineers and Imagineers, pulling this stuff together. And what we have in telework and telemedicine and that whole new genre of healthcare is Imagineers. As I had written something in Facebook recently, it was something on, we have two groups of people. One are for early adopters. People say, I want to do this because it's really good stuff. And the second one is visionaries. And we need both. We need early adopters, we need visionaries. And the early adopters are participate, engage, they say, yeah, there's a need. And that's why lean is so important. And that's why AMU's lean-centric approach toward things is saying, that's important because you can't innovate unless you recognize. The group that I call that don't recognize things, I call them settlers because they're the ones who just settle. That's the way it is. That's how it works. That's what we got to do. But we don't want to be settlers. We want to be innovators. We want to be visionaries, and we want to be early adopters. We want to be able to take technology. But this is not as you start looking at the program and the certification, this is not going blindly into the night. It's going full blown. I see what's coming up, but also being able to see over the horizon of what's happening, not only with laws and policy, but also with technology, and also the good and the bad of what technology brings. Being able to make sure you're attentive to HIPAA and the compliance requirements, as well as being able to leverage technology like in HASK, be able to take that and leverage it to make it work for you. Jacqueline brought up an excellent innovative practice. We're going to take telemedicine, telehealth, and teletherapy and pull this together. I said, wow, someone linked these things together and made it because they saw a need. So when you're an early adopter and when you're a visionary, you're able to see a need. So what the courses that we'll be providing is to help you be sensitive to what a need looks like. For all too often, again, reflecting on that, is that we become callous, that we become sedentary, complacent. And that's not nursing. Nursing is forward-leaning, forward-moving. They're the ones who see what's happening and report what we need to do. And that's what I challenge. We start looking at this new program and the new certifications, and the focus we're putting on is that we have patient-centric focus. Because ultimately we're looking at taking care of others, our patients, whether it's our mother and father, or aunts and uncles, or people who take care of us, like Alexis will take care of us. Thank you. We want someone who is thinking. So telehealth and telemedicine is about thinking professionals, engaged professionals, people who see value in the future. And where it becomes a challenge is for nurses and frankly, other allied disciplines in the healthcare field is to recognize how to leverage this so that we can, in fact, see a better tomorrow. Because hospitals aren't going away, doctors aren't going away, nurses in hospitals aren't going away. But what we bring to the table is an alternative approach that is allied to traditional methods that will take care of patients, deliver quality, timeliness, and at a lower cost, and that is the hope that we see in this. So the certification will bring, and we'll look at that in January, start a rollout of a program that you should be paying attention to. And if you do, you'll say, I want that. I want that. So thank you very much. I'd like to have Dr. Taylor come up.
Oh, well, okay. Wow, wow, wow. This is it. This is very exciting. So glad to be here. And thank you all for being here. But we must have Dr. Brown Jackson. She's a global health strategist, come up and speak and kind of put a nice bow on all of this for us. A little bit about her. She's an AMU teaching faculty in the Lean Health and Institute for Healthcare Improvement ICANN advisor. She's a GHA on advisory board. She holds 4 telemedicine and telehealth certifications. Boy. And she holds a GHA, she's on the advisory board for GHA cert as well. She's a telemedicine telehealth advocate, and she's currently supporting the Department of Defense, U.S. Army, and Joint Services as a senior regulatory affairs, medical quality SME, and advanced drug development. So with that, I'd like to bring up Dr. Jackson. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Today has been exciting. And one of the things that Dr. Taylor asked me to do today was kind of bring it all together and to speak to the next level nurse that's just out there listening to this presentation today. And those of you who have not maybe made the connection between what it is to have the two great collaborations together with GHA as well as AMU. And I just wanted to kind of focus on the information that we've heard today and then hope to inspire those who are moving forward, who will be the next level leaders. So nursing is above all a progressive calling. My mother was a nurse. She was one of the next generations and graduated in 1955 from a school of nursing. So she's the next generation directly from Florence Nightingale. She was one of the first innovators who really learned the pure craft of nursing from one of the best. And that's what was a role model for me in all of the years that I've been on this earth. And she's probably the reason why I'm in healthcare today. But however, year by year, nurses have to learn and with improved methods, as well as medicine with surgery and hygiene improves. Year by year, the nurses are called upon to do more and to do better than what they've done. And that's a direct quote from Florence Nightingale. As Dr. Taylor mentioned earlier, every nurse is a change agent and every nurse is an innovator. And every day, nurses work together at their places of business to solve difficult and challenges all of the time, whether it's for their patients, to improve processes, and to improve greater communications. But the goal is all the same, better care. GHA and American Meridian, as Dr. Phillips mentioned, has courses and resources to help encourage each nurse to be proactive in their efforts to facilitate change and to make improvements in healthcare delivery. It is the merging of emerging technology, such as telemedicine and telehealth, and business and process improvement, such as lean and quality management, all pulled together on the scaffolding of your calling of nursing. And it's the right time, and I'm glad that WHO has decided to dedicate 2020 as the year of the nurse and the midwife. I'm excited. I hope that you're excited as well. The Next Level Learning series and the WHO Year of the Nursing focuses on leadership, innovation, and excellence. And we've just seen a lot of that demonstrated today by finding better ways of connecting nursing and innovation. So as I mentioned, every day nurses find ways to improve patient care. If you've ever thought of finding a better way to do something or realize that the current processes need improvement, then you are an innovator. Have you ever determined to find a better way of thinking outside of the box or determined a way to improve healthcare? I know that Dr. Taylor did and decided to integrate telemedicine and telehealth into her current existing business. If you've ever looked back upon all of those times, you can now wear the moniker of innovator. Better ways to think about nursing. Nursing is built on a strong foundation of innovation demonstrated through extraordinary stories. Florence Nightingale invented the Polar Area Diagram, which is a statistical tool that's used to track infection rates back in the Crimean War, and it is still used today. Anita Dorr, an emergency room nurse who was frustrated with continual gathering of supplies during emergency situations, she created the crash cart, which is still used today. Sister Jean Ward, a charge nurse at Rochester Hospital in the UK, observed that babies that were positioned closer to a window and exposed to more sunlight have fewer incidents of jaundice. Her innovation, contemporary phototherapy. And today, you just heard from several next level nurses. Dr. Yulia Rudnitsky in her H Ask, she thought the single biggest problem in communication is the illusion that it has taken place. She took her app, the creation of an app, which places the tool at the point of care where there's a breakdown in barriers of communication to realize and to empower provider-patient communication. And the direct impact is home health care. We heard about that today. That was brought together and brought to life through the nursing incubator. And that's something that Dr. Taylor has championed, and I hope that you all take a chance to look at that and see what it's talking about. Marguerite Youssef, who was on the phone for us earlier, looked at reducing wait times. She's considered a global problem solver in quality and lean management for healthcare and in performance improvement as a nurse. During the process of her presentation and what she learned and gained from her program and learning through AMU is that you can close the gap in quality. You can use leadership and management to play a key role in patient safety and to train staff through a patient-centric model. You use best practices, redesigning care processes to create safer systems by increasing standardization, reducing redundancies, and taking advantage of human factors. She gave us 7 key points to take in mind, and they were: keep the vision simple, learn by measuring, use best practices for your team, care for the people who care for others, respect and empower your team members. Remember to learn as much as you teach. Managers and clinicians must discuss concerns and challenges with their supervisory and supervisory leadership. And at the end of the day, she said that nurses are the front line of healthcare. They're present and valued and spread the culture of change. And then Jacqueline Coulter, I can consider her a disruptive innovator, just as Dr. Taylor mentioned earlier, and I hope that you do the same. She experienced challenges in healthcare firsthand as a nurse and as an administrator, right in her own backyard in North Carolina. I'm a native of South Carolina, so I certainly understand the unique challenges that she described and the facing in the areas in which she lives. She uses telemedicine and teletherapy services that are easily accessible, cost-effective, and provide high quality. The focus is on and underinsured, those who have lack of access, as well as those who have technology challenges with broadband connections. The use of technology already available to provide continuity of care, such as a simple cell phone and text messaging. She has enhanced the patient experience. And last but not least, Alex Burtis, a burgeoning next level nursing leader. We're excited to see that she came forth and had a chance to share that it's never too early to get started on your journey of being an innovator. It's never too early to always think about how you can integrate the core functions of nursing and how you assimilate that to business, administration, and thinking forward of how you can make a difference in the world as a next level leader. So embracing your legacy, the next level leader, and nursing now are the terms that I'd like for you to keep at the forefront of your mind for 2020. Every day, nurses create better ways to improve patient care. Unfortunately, many nurses don't think of themselves as innovators. Within the profession, there's a disconnect between realizing we could do this better and then to turning that into an idea. And that's one that can become a reality. But we've just seen it exhibited today that everyone who's a nurse can do that. And if you've ever thought of a better way of doing something or realize a current process needs improvement, again, you are an innovator. Students that are disciplined in areas such as engineering, business, computer technology, they're all taught that their ideas matter. The curricula is established for those disciplines. Plant the seed of innovation early, encouraging creativity to flourish. From the start, these students are taught to believe that they can make a difference, and they're given the tools to nurture creativity and explore opportunities and to promote innovation. Nurses don't realize they are innovators because as a profession, they've not necessarily embraced the legacy of innovation. But hopefully the 2020 challenge this year will completely change that paradigm. They don't necessarily consider that they are part of the innovation network because they haven't been embraced for where they are and where they've come. But again, nurses are innovators. And on a daily basis, nurses find solutions. They create ways to improve situations for their patients. And often their creations are not disseminated or shared on a larger scale. And we heard that exhibited in the presentation that dealt with quality, looking at how leadership, what she learned from the process. And so taking the 3 courses that Dr. Phillips mentioned earlier is just another step for that next level leader to integrate themselves on that pathway. So my curiosity in nursing, as I mentioned earlier, was my mother, and I began to look at a little bit more about the history, beginning with Florence Nightingale, as they call her, the lady with the lamp, or the lady in the lamp. And she's the founder of modern nursing, modeled innovative behavior. She used bells to invent what's now today the call light. How many times have you thought about an invention or something that could make the difference? She also innovated the physician-nurse rounds and modern sanitation. Washing the hands saves lives. It makes a difference. It started early, as well as a food delivery system within a hospital. You all have great ideas. You all have simple ideas that can certainly make a difference. Examining the nurse's history and innovation and beginning to explore the interprofessional healthcare perspective, I believe that you can say that innovation asks, how can we, as a healthcare team, learn together to find innovative solutions to everyday problems that will increase healthcare quality and improve patient outcome? The challenge is on for 2020, and I look forward to seeing many more creations that are coming through the pipe, as well as everything that the Incubation Center for Nursing has to offer, finding that next level discovery, integrating quality business process improvement as an underpinning and scaffolding, where emerging technology is here, it's here to stay, and it will move forward.
Is a general term applicable.
To understand the potential for innovation, it's important to consider the environment, communication patterns, employee behavior and characteristics, resources, stakeholder utilization, and the ability to tolerate failure. Because you have to fail in order to continue to move forward in innovation. So now is the time. The narrative will continue, the stories will continue to be shared, and I'm excited to be on this journey with everyone. And we need to continue to share the stories of perseverance and determination as we share in the Year of the Nurse. Thank you.
I just wanted to say, I think it's been very great today, talking about the upcoming 2020 year for nurse, and with all of us, there's definitely to come together as a think tank in terms of what are or what will be the innovations and how we can help to drive those innovations, whether it is through thought leadership, documented leadership, or pure execution of what the innovation looks like. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dr. Burton.
Well, hello everyone. This is Jim Phillips once again. Before I close, this has been a wonderful day of discussion and communication about things that matter the most. I want to point out that it was my failing in the beginning to be able to recognize two of our august doctors over here. Don't get this here with Dr. Intima, and Dr. Davies. So thank you, doctors, for being here, and thanks for sharing your time with us. This is, as Dr. Kim Brown Jackson said, this is, I don't know, you heard her. That was great. I was thinking about something pithy to say as we close, and how important it is to what we do, and I think this is pretty appropriate for us and for who we are as innovators, is that those who say it can't be done are usually interrupted by those who are doing it. So we're the ones who are doing it. We're the ones going to infect others in a positive way with how to do it. So the certifications will be an inoculation so that you can, in fact, carry the word to do the things you need to do to be an innovator in medicine, particularly in telehealth and telemedicine. It is so important that we start looking at this. I'm a veteran. This is Dr. Bonnie. He's a veteran as well. And, I look at the people who are veterans. You're a veteran as well, sir. Is that these, for us, this is the next way of handling us. The new veterans that are today are the veterans that don't go to the doctors. They work on their smartphones. They go to their maybe even go to the computer, but chances are they're using a smartphone and they're doing things on the smartphone, and they're getting counsel and direction and advice, and they're seeking that from devices and technology. We have to be able to look at that and say, well, we're not, this isn't the Civil War, and this isn't the, World War II. This is now. And now is technology, and the type of medicine that needs to be delivered is a technology-based medicine and technology-based healthcare. And information has to flow freely that way so that we can make it easier for everyone. I would like to at least pose the idea that, nursing was born out of adversity. You say, well, why is that? Well, nursing, at least in modern nursing, was a response to a battlefield need where soldiers were on the battlefield and they needed care, and there was the caring and compassionate heart, of Florence Nightingale and others who stepped in and did things. And I would say is that from adversity starts that little spark of what next? What next? How do I do it? How do I improve it? And you see that flower blooming and spreading across the horizon. And, and oftentimes, it blooms so much and then people want to cut it back. Well, we need to keep it corralled. We'll put bricks around it. We'll put boulders to keep it in place. But, the spirit of nursing is not one that stays put. It's like, okay, how do we improve it? What do we need to do next? There's the need today is different. How do we respond to that need? So the bricks are knocked away and the flowers start to progress out, and now the garden is bigger. And I think the gardening that is nursing is one that is getting bigger and is reaching more and doing more and is beautifying the horizon. So for us is to be able to tell people, nursing is not, it is not just this, it's this, it's this. And when people start to see that, they'll say, well, I might not want to be a nurse here, but I can see me being a nurse here. I can see me practicing this. And suddenly it touches their heart again, and they start moving in that direction. So as we close, I want to be able to say our next Saturday Next Level Nursing 2020 series will be in January 2020. More information will be, it could be the second Saturday?
We haven't decided.
Or a specific Saturday will be announced, but it will be in January 2020, and we're looking forward to having you come here because it's going to be a great time, and we're excited about you being on the journey with us. So I'm looking for you.
And it's going to be in leadership? Will be probably the Next Level Nursing.
Yes. Yes, the next time we have the opportunity to meet, it'll be on nursing leadership. Again, you start Next Level Nursing, as much as I get excited about technology, you need also people who lead the charge. Next Level Nursing includes leadership. So we need to develop leaders to be able to take this and make it happen.
Excellent.
So thank you.
I'm just going to add one final period to all of this. I want to just first thank all of you for coming out and supporting and getting behind the Nursing Now movement. And I'm excited because I know this is going to be an exciting journey we're going to all see. And I do believe this, you can already feel the energy, the spirit of it all moving already, that you're hearing the nurse's voice. We're not used to having a voice. We sit at a table, we hold it in, we know the answers, but we don't speak. That's why you can see us kind of like, almost oppressed. But I think the voice of the nurse now is going to rise up, and there's going to be a ripple effect in the world. And what you're going to see is a change in healthcare throughout the world, because it's going to start the movement so that every humanity benefits from this. So that's what we're experiencing now. So I want to thank you all for the launching of it. And this is going to be an exciting journey. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for attending. Those who are on the line, thank you very much.